Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now before we do get into today's story, there is a trigger warning on it of body shaming, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. This story is from Jumpy Discipline 5826, and it says, "Am I the arsehole here for thinking about divorcing my wife after she drunkenly exposed me to our group of friends? Guys, I literally don't know what to do after this weekend. Posting from a burner account since I'm connected with a lot of friends and family on my account. The issue here happened Saturday night. We had our friend group over. There are 6 of us couples in there and we are hosting at our house. The night was progressing pretty normal. We had done dinner and were just hanging on the couches chatting. Everyone had been drinking over the course of the evening, so we're all pretty comfy. My wife Amy, all names fake, was talking with one of the other girls about my new job. I recently got a promotion that comes with a nice raise. The downside is that I have to travel a decent amount, up to 2 weeks a month, but only 3 to 4 days at a time at most. We were excited for the changes the extra income will provide and how it will change our future, so the travel was something we agreed to being worth it." As they were chatting, her friend Pamela was talking about how they make it work since her husband also travels for work a lot. The conversation was actually quite helpful, honestly, in a lot of ways, as there were some good ideas in there. That is until it happened. Heidi jokingly said, "And be sure to order some sex toys that are the same size as him so you can still have sex while he is gone." Now, she was giggling, just making light of the fact that I would be gone and that the biggest challenge they had was the interruption to their sex life. No harm in this, right? That is until my wife says it. I don't think they make them that tiny. Guys, I went totally pale. Everyone stopped talking and you could just feel the awkwardness in the room. I think she realized what she had said because she tried to backpedal, but the damage was done. I stared at her in disbelief. She just kept trying to backpedal and saying, "I'm so sorry." I just stood up and walked out. I didn't know what to say or do. I headed over to a buddy's house. I was sober. I don't drink. I didn't tell him the story, just that we had an argument. But I feel so violated by Amy. Now the backstory here. What she said is most likely true. I'm not in doubt at all. I've known this my whole life basically. Any guy can back me up when I say we are all conscious of our size. I'm just under 3 inches hard and I've always been super insecure about it. But our sex life was also never lacking because I made up for it in other ways in the bedroom. And she has never lacked in the orgasm department. We just get there other ways sometimes. Now here is where I feel like the arsehole. I want to divorce her. I feel so violated. I feel like I can never see these friends again. I feel like all they will be thinking about when I'm around is her comment and, well, how tiny is it really? But my arsehole feeling comes in because I've known for a long time that it is small. So I stared into the skis, I guess you could say, and am more submissive in the bedroom. And enjoy it when she pokes fun at it in the bedroom. But that was just us. But I just feel so violated with it being now public knowledge. But I also may have made my bed here by being okay with the dirty talk. I don't know. And for those wondering, yes, she's called and texted a ton yesterday, apologizing for outing me. But I told her I needed space for a bit. Honestly, I don't know if I'll read the replies. I just needed to vent this somewhere, and I have no one to talk to about it. My buddy I'm staying with just thinks we had a fight. I feel so lost. I feel like an arsehole, but just don't know if I can trust her again, or feel secure enough to see any of them again. The top commenter just said to OP, "You can't unring that bell." Alicia Jones replies to that saying, "The fact that her friend brought up the sex toy comment before she mentioned him being small. I don't think this is the first time she's mentioned this to her friend. It sounds like the wife has been saying these things behind his back for a while." Blackwater says, "Nah man, she doubled down on her statement by saying I'm so sorry, letting everyone know it was the truth. Just kidding, he's huge would have covered the backpedaling. She acknowledged it as true, and you, leaving embarrassed, tripled down the statement. Not the arsehole. That was deliberate." Ruby TX says, "Not the arsehole. This is a deep hurt she rendered you in front of your friends. Thinking what you think, feeling what you feel, those never make you an arsehole. It takes actions to make an arsehole. So if you do decide this is worthy of divorce, be clear with yourself as to what it will remedy and what it will not. The words in company will never be unsaid. So in terms of how you feel exposed in front of those friends, divorce will not help that. If in all other ways, or enough other ways, you've been happy in your marriage, then it may help you to get counseling for yourself, and possibly yourselves as a couple. She may have been drunk, but she said it. She needs to take responsibility for it, and uncover why she would say such a demeaning thing about you. Is there some unhappiness in your marriage that she was paying you back for? This is above Reddit's pay grade to fully resolve, but above all, you are not the arsehole, and you are enough. You are a man deserving of respect and love from your partner. Hope you find a way through to heal yourself. Musefear says not the arsehole. I would consider divorce as well. It's abhorrent that someone would disclose a private insecurity about someone they claim to love. It's indicative of her overall personality, values, and lack of respect for you. You have every right to be very angry and extremely hurt. I'm so sorry. Maybe text your friends to ease the tension between yourself and them. Simply say that you were really hurt and apologize for leaving abruptly. That's it. You don't need to explain anything further. I guarantee each one of these couples knows embarrassing stuff about the other. They're going to be on your side with this. They know she crossed the line. If the roles were reversed and you called her loose or something, it would have been the same thing. It's not okay, and she should be ashamed of herself. That is just extremely rough, and I could just never imagine exposing, talking about a loved one's insecurity like that. And being drunk just doesn't excuse it. So within that comment section, OP added, thanks to everyone for the comments, good or bad. I honestly couldn't even begin to reply to all of them, but genuinely thank you to everyone. The general consensus that I walked away from all the comments was, am I the arsehole, perhaps jumping my head straight to divorce, but not the arsehole for being hurt and feeling betrayed, exposed, whatever word fits. That helped me see it from a different lens for sure. Long story short, we sat down to talk about everything. I'm going to give bullets because I didn't think I could even begin to write out the whole conversation. 1, I brought up how I felt exposed and humiliated by what happened. I explained that it was different than what we do in private. She agreed and understood where I was coming from. 2, she apologized for saying it and admits that she wasn't really thinking about it because of the alcohol. She also told me that she really didn't know because while I may be smaller, I'm good at ensuring she is happy. So she hasn't ever really used or looked at any of those types of things. I do believe this is because we have some things that haven't been used in years. 3, we both agreed that unrelated in totality to this issue, she's been drinking too much in general. I stopped drinking a long time ago for health reasons and she's going to stop for the time being as well. 4, we are both going to start individual counseling and then couples in a few weeks. We have our own issues and things to work on as well as our couples things. There were lots of emotions, tears and some anger at times through the talk, but I think it helped us. But now we move forward. I don't know exactly what I feel, but know that I also have to fix myself and my mind. Not really a conclusive thing, but it is where we are and feel like we're going to be okay. Thanks again. And there was many comments below this one just talking about the group already knowing this information because the room falling silent when it was said. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is one from the Best of No Updates subreddit. It was composed by Direct Caterpillar 77 from the user Left Outside, who says, my 32 female, husband 35 male, married 2 years together for 7, saved the dog and ran when me and our twins, one female, were in danger. My husband Brent and I have been together 7 years, married for 2, lived together for 3. We get along well. He's a really kind and perceptive man, although things have been difficult since the twins, and after this incident, I'm questioning a lot. While we always intended to have kids, twins were unexpected. I love them so much. They're incredibly beautiful babies with lots of personality already. But it has been a crazy period of adjustment for us. He's a kind of messy person, and while that didn't matter when we were childless, it has been a strain since we had kids. He's shaped up his cleaning but is resentful about it. We're in couples therapy as well since there are some issues with intimacy. It used to be about 4+ a week, but now it's 1 or 2 a week, although we get lucky sometimes. My sister will watch the girls and we can have a day off. Anyway, for the issue at hand. After I asked Brent to pick up after himself around the house, he stopped taking any care of the backyard. Usually the front yard is mine and the back is his. It was a big point of contention and the therapist said we were probably both overworked. We work from home, so we don't really get time away from the house/babies, except every other weekend or to run errands. Brent goes out for an hour or two a couple of times a week with friends to get a drink or something as well. The therapist suggested we get someone to help us clean up the yard. I hired a woman, Gina, mid-20s female, who had done some work for my neighbors and was well reviewed. We decided to make a day of it and we had a lunch out. The twins in their playpen on a blanket, me and Gina were weeding and Brent was doing some trimming on the other side of the yard. Well, he disturbed a wasp nest, and without saying anything to us, he immediately runs past our children, grabs his dog, a small terrier, and runs into the house and locks the door. Thank God Gina had more presence of mind because while I was still trying to figure out what he was running from, she noticed the wasps swarming out and said, "Get into the shed." So we grabbed the babies and hid. We didn't have phones on us. We sat in there for quite a while and we could see the yard was full of wasps. I could see Brent looking out the window. I tried to mime for him to call for help, but he didn't seem to realize. Finally, an exterminator showed up, but Gina and I had to wait in the hot shed with 2 crying babies for almost an hour. In the end, it turned out a neighbor had seen what had happened and called the exterminators. I'm livid. How could he run past our kids and lock us out of the house? If I had been alone in the yard, then I wouldn't have been able to carry both babies and unlatch the shed door at the same time. It's a miracle no one got stung. I was fuming about this, and he claims it was just an emergency reaction, but that's almost worse to me. His emergency response is to abandon his wife and kids. And then when I got into the house, I saw it even made a sandwich while we were out there, instead of calling for help. Is this normal? This doesn't feel like the actions of a caring person. Someone quoted OP saying locks the door, and then says, "How did you figure out he locked the door, lol? Yeah, I don't get how he picked up a dog, with the kids in his path like he ran right by them." OP says, "Yes, he did run past the kids. I saw him locking the door because it has a glass panel. I was watching him in confusion. Hadn't realized the wasp situation yet, just suddenly saw him run by and grab the dog, run up the steps and lock the door. Then Gina noticed the wasps and we got the kids and hid in the shed." A commenter says, "Have you talked to him about this at all? Did he have anything to say or any excuse?" I don't know. I get fight or flight, but it would really bother me too if I was in your position, that he had the sense to grab the dog and lock the door but did nothing for the rest of his family. I honestly want to look at a couples counselor. Opie said he said sorry and that he was panicked and wasn't thinking. Yes, we're in therapy about the stress caused by having twins. So I wonder if maybe there's a part of him that doesn't really care about the kids. So that's why he saves the dog first when in panic. Killer Pandora says, honestly, it sounds like he wanted someone to get stung. By locking the door, he made it impossible for anyone else to get in, even at a mad dash. Rel says, right, it's not like the wasp were going to unlock the door. Then rather than get help, he made himself a sandwich. I don't know if I could get over this. Opie says, in his defense, he said he called the exterminator, but they said they already been called and were on the way. But he should have called them first. I saw his phone log and he called them probably 10 minutes after he got into the house. Maybe he didn't know who to call for wasps. Like, in the shed, Gina was wondering if you call animal control or even the cops. Man, I get fight or flight, but some of the stuff in this was like my eyebrows are like up on the roof. Like, lock the door behind him. I mean, what the fuck? Grabbing the dog and just running straight past the kids. And just not saying anything in general, just literally bolting it past them. Not like, fuck, that's wasp nest, run! Nothing like that. And then going to make yourself a sandwich at the same time. It was giving me very Shaun of the Dead vibes of like, let's go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint and wait for this all to blow over while your family's trapped in the shed. And wasp nests are not to fuck around with. I told you the story about like when we was younger, One of our mates, nice guy, but he's a moron, went and captured a wasp nest in a black sack, brought it round to us, and literally just chucked the bag on the floor, and fuck, wasps were everywhere. It was like literally a wasp hand grenade. But I absolutely think the counseling comments on this one were correct. What do you guys make of that situation? Put yourself in OP's shoes. How would you feel about that? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story is another one from the Best of No Updates from Secret Notebook. It's one of those stories that was a little while back and never had an update on it again. But it's a weird one. I, 30 female, found a hidden journal of my husband, 30 male, of 4 years, and think he has some kind of disturbing obsession with women. I was on a cleaning spree today, and folded my husband's clothes in his closet. Usually he just leaves them piled up on the shelf, so I was sorting and organizing things when I found a notebook, stuffed way back behind some of the clothes. Since it was out of place and I was curious, I flipped through it. What I found is really creeping me out. It's almost full, and every page is devoted to what seems to be a running list of women he knows. I saw names of his friends, my friends, people he works with, people in both of our families, and random women he interacted with, like the cashier at Walmart or Burger King drive-thru attendant, and then the date he was there. There were also women he had no apparent interaction with, like woman I passed in front of store on this street and the day and time. After he writes their names and sometimes where and when he saw them, he then makes detailed notes on their appearance, what they were wearing, their hairstyle and makeup. The most detailed notes are about the shape of their body and the size of particular parts like boobs and hips. He comments on their weight, their proportions, how attractive or unattractive he thinks their breasts, waist and butt are, and how their outfit hides or reveals or emphasizes those features, sometimes ranking them on a scale of 1 to 10. I didn't read everything. There was pages and pages of this crap, but I saw enough to get the general picture. That's all that's in the journal. Just pages of his descriptions of practically every woman he ever has even the most passing encounters with. I've never heard of anything like this. I've never noticed him flirting or sexting with anyone. He's never cheated to my knowledge. He's never had any female friendships that have set off any red flags for me. Most of his friends are guys anyway. He's not big on partying or out late or unreachable at weird times. In short, looking at our lives together, there isn't anything in our daily life that's made me suspicious either now or in the past. We spend a lot of our free time together doing shared things we both enjoy and are usually very good communicators. Sex life is very good for both of us. What should I make of this? He seems obsessed just from the sheer amount of entries he's made and the detail that he goes into them. He's kept this journal since March according to the dates. It's one of those thick 1-inch spiral notebooks to give an idea of how much he's written. But on the other hand, I can't think of any other signs that he's cheating. Is it a good idea to ask him about what this all is? The top commenter on this one said, I got nothing. That's weird as hell. The obvious question, was there a page for you? Antoine says, they've been together 4 years. The notebook only goes back to March. I also like Plutonium says that notebook goes back to March. Perhaps there has been at least one prior notebook. Another commenter says, I don't think this is the kind of thing that just starts in some random month of March. He had to have been doing this longer. There's more. And there was a lot of comments below this one pointing towards mental health, a lot of mentions of OCD, other people saying there's got to be more to this, where's the other notebooks? Random little thought just coming from the back of that story. Once I worked in a warehouse and we used to get a lot of temporary workers that would come in. And you know, during lunch break, you'd have a chat to them and stuff while just sat around in the warehouse shooting the shit. I got to know one of them quite well because he was a big gamer and he used to play like Counter-Strike and stuff like that. I was never a massive Counter-Strike fan, played it a little bit, but shortly before he left, he told me that he also collects car number plate registrations. And I was like, what? And he says, yeah, he carries like a little notebook throughout the day and just notes down car number plate registrations. Doesn't do anything with them. He doesn't follow people around or anything, but he just notes these down with the car make and color. And then he'd take his mini list and transfer it into his big list at the end of the day. And when asked why, he just said it's just something he enjoys doing. I was like, oh, fair enough. Again, I know it's not exactly the same in this situation, but it just popped into my head. But what do you think is going on in this situation? Bit of a different one there. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair.